Hi, I'm Carter with Thornfield Poultry. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to talk about feed, or what we do for feed here at the farm. We mix 3 different kinds. We use high quality pellets, we use whole wheat, and we use whole oats. For specific brands, I tend to like Purina Flock Raiser pellets. I have used Triple Crown whole oats, the recleaned oats, and those are great. I found that the Grainland Select premium whole oats are just about comparable to those and a little less expensive. And then for whole wheat, I use a mill that's in North Carolina, in eastern North Carolina, called Mule City. And that's typically where you'll have, if you decide to use whole wheat or follow this feeding program, you'll need to find somebody, a feed mill, who can get whole wheat for you, because it's not something you can order online. So before chickens, I started with waterfowl. And there's a man very, very, very smart with waterfowl. He majored in college in poultry science, and he's raised waterfowl for many years, knows a lot about them. Has I have 2 busy ones over there. Has written booklets and books. This one is on wing disorders in waterfowl, which ducks especially are prone to wing disorders. In this book, it got into talking about nutrition, because when I started out, I just looked for floating waterfowl food, and that's what I fed. But as I got into this book, this booklet, I realized how important nutrition is. You would think that would be obvious, right? But it really wasn't. I thought, well, floating waterfowl, surely they know what they're doing, and they're mixing a good feed for the birds. But in reading this, Dave Holderreed laid out a feeding program for different stages in life, basically from the ducklings to the older age before they start laying eggs, and then the adult stage. In the middle, that middle range, he recommends mixing a pellet with grains and change it based on the season. In the summertime, you feed a heavier ratio of pellets for more protein. That's going to benefit the egg production. In the wintertime, you're going to feed a heavier ratio of the grains for the carbohydrates, for energy, for fat, to keep them warmer. And so that just made a lot of sense to me. Now, in his book, he went on to subscribe to just a regular, going to a straight pellet for the adult bird. But I ended up keeping all my birds on that mix, because it just seemed so sensible to change it with the seasons, because none of the feed producers do that. I mean, it's not financially feasible for them to mix based on the seasons, but it makes so much sense for the birds and for their health and well-being and for their productivity. So that's what I continued to do down there. I just kept feeding that same mix. Ultimately, I got into chickens too, eventually black copper Morans, and after 2 or 3 years, I moved some down to the pond. Those were kind of my surplus that I would just use their eggs. I wouldn't use them for breeding purposes, but I would sell their eggs. I know, and of course, I didn't use different feed for them. I used the same feed I was using for the ducks and the geese. Well, one day I was studying them, and I thought, gosh, these guys, they really look almost better than my hens, my main breeding flock at the main hen house. Hush, you guys. So I thought about it and decided, why not? I would try mixed feed up at my main hen house. Sorry, I've got somebody who wants to out-talk me here. Hang on. Go. Shh. don't know if she'll go away or not. But so I decided to try it up here, try the mixed feed. And you know what? I'm really glad that I changed. I think all my birds look really healthy. Everybody is pasture free. They stay in the hen house. There's a little paddock outside, but they can go in and out as they want to. I put feed out in the morning because even though they go outside and they roam, you are so intent. She's intent on being in the coop. So I have some chickens who roam a long way to eat. Oh, they might go 400, 500, 600 yards from the hen house. They go a good ways. But pasture-free birds tend to be leaner. Tend to be leaner and have more of a prominent sternum than your full-time grain-fed birds. And that's okay. I mean, especially the lean meat when it comes to eating them, it's a lot healthier for us who are consuming it. But I wanted my birds to have a little more meat on them, to be a little more robust and just feel like they had more meat to them. So his breastbone is not prominent. He's got good breast tissue on either side. He's a good weight. He's solid. He's healthy. They're all active. The feathers have a great sheen to them. I don't know if you can see. Oh, yeah, you can see that. So, you know, they're just so healthy. I haven't seen a lowering in egg production. I haven't seen sickness. I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that this feed mix is bad for my birds. I just, on the contrary, I feel like it's been really good for them. So we're into October now, mid-October, and I've already switched to my winter feed. So that brings up feed ratios. Let me put this boy down. He's been a good boy. All right. So in talking about mixing, I start with my pellet bag. It holds 8 scoops, and that's the large scoops of pellets. I use that when I'm determining my ratios. And I always start with 4 scoops, large scoops of pellets. In the summertime, it's 4 to 2. That means 4 scoops of pellets to 2 scoops of grains. Now, that would be 1 wheat, 1 oat. That makes 2 grains, right? So 4 of the pellets to 1 wheat, 1 oat. And then we repeat, and I stir that up, and we repeat. In the wintertime, I double the grains. So I have 4 pellets, and I have 2 wheat and 2 oats. To the spot thing. But anyway, so we have 4 and 4 is 8 total scoops in the winter time. So you're getting a greater percentage of carbohydrates for fat, for warmth, and in the summertime you're getting more protein for egg production. And that just makes a lot of sense to me. It's great for the bird's health. I haven't experienced any negative effects from that, and it's easy. It becomes a pain sometimes to do all the mixing, but on the whole, when I think about the money I'm saving, that helps too. Because your pellets, the Purina pellets, are going to be somewhere in the $20 a bag ballpark. The oats are going to be around $12 a bag. Your whole wheat, somewhere in the same range, around $12 a bag. So you're saving a lot of money. You're saving a lot of money. If you're using 2 whole pellet bags to fill a can without mixing, then you would be using in the summertime 1.5 bags of pellets and using about a quarter of the oats and about 1/3 of the wheat. Wheat, you don't get quite as many scoops out of the bag of wheat. It just weighs more, less of it weighs more, so it's not quite as many scoops. In the wintertime, you're just going to use the 1 bag of pellets, and you'll use about half a bag of your wheat and maybe a third or so of your oats. So it's extremely less expensive. Well, significant enough for me. I feel like I'm saving money. The pellets being around $20. If I've used half a bag of my wheat, that's another $6, so we're at $26. And then if I use about a third of the bag of oats, that's $4. So we're at $30 there. So we've saved $10, and that's a lot when it comes to filling each can. So let's do a little mixing. See if I can get this position so you can see. Hey, Koopy. Here's my large scoop. So I'm going to start with my pellets. So these are my pellets again, 2. 4. All right, winter feed, we're going to do 2 oats. 1. 2. Now this is the whole wheat. I don't know if you can see how small that is. So now comes the fun part, mix. So now I just repeat the whole thing. And I've used 4 scoops out of these pellets. That means there are 4 scoops left. So I'm just going to dump the whole bag. That's another reason I like doing it like this, because, you know, it makes things a little shorter. Every morning they get a couple of scoops. I actually feed them in mortar mixing troughs. And the reason I use these, I actually like them a lot because the depth, they're easy for the birds to get in and out of. They don't typically poop in these. And they're deep enough though that when they go scratching around in the feed, it doesn't go outside the container, so it keeps it all in here, and when it gets down to dust, they eat that too. So a lot of times they'll eat this completely clean. So it works well for me. I don't know if you've ever tried that. But so just because I feed a mix, and this is what I do, certainly doesn't mean that that's what you have to do, or it's the right way to do it. You have to find what works for you and what works for your pocketbook. I just want to feed, for me, as good a pellet as I can get my hands on that's economical, and I have to buy it by the ton because I go through so much. A really pretty clean, you can see that, a pretty clean oat. There's not much trash in there. and then of course the whole wheat. So it makes a difference and works for me. You know, and I'd love to hear what other people are doing. If you've got something you really like and think works well and is a good cost savings for you, and you've got a different way to feed, I'd love to hear about it. You know, respond to this or send me an email at info@thornfieldpoultry.com. Thank you so much for letting me share this. This has been fun, and I look forward to the next time. Thanks. Bye.